We open the file tonight on an investigation that, well, it challenges the very foundation of modern reality, specifically the one we all experience online.
Mm.
And this isn't a deep dive into simple spam or, the usual data breaches. We are looking at a fundamental structural failure.
It's an ontological crisis,
Mhm.
something that suggests a profound emptiness right at the heart of the digital world.
And the evidence that we've compiled, it suggests this failure has been, well, largely unacknowledged, or perhaps, and this is the darker thought, deliberately obscured.
The whole premise is deeply unsettling. It feels like something pulls from a Philip K. Dick novel, but
Hmm.
it's demonstrably true.
How so?
Well, imagine walking into a sprawling, hyperactive city. The lights are on, traffic's moving, the social feeds are just churning with endless conversation,
Okay.
only for you to realize that every face you see, every voice you hear, every single action being performed, from clicking a link to leaving a comment, is synthetic.
So you're the only one left.
You are the last genuine mind in a population of hyper-efficient digital ghosts. And that right there is the subject of this deep dive.
Our mission, then, is to define and meticulously investigate this challenge, the dead internet theory, or DIT. And we're treating this not as some fringe conspiracy,
No, not at all.
but as a verifiable statistical reality.
And the theory, at its core, asserts that the functional majority of the World Wide Web, the spaces we all rely on for community, for commerce, for real discourse.
Social media, forums.
Exactly. Social media, review sites, comment sections, all of it is no longer genuinely human. Instead, this vast infrastructure is just overwhelmingly dominated by sophisticated self-sustaining AI bots and algorithmic systems running at scale.
The crucial chilling concept here, the architectural lie underpinning this whole thing, is the Potemkin village.
Right. Historically, that was a fake facade, built to trick observers into thinking a region was thriving when it was empty.
And the modern internet, according to this theory, is exactly that. It's a synthetic shell of hyperactivity built to mask a catastrophic emptiness of authentic human interaction. It looks vibrant, it feels active.
But the vibrancy is just noise, and the activity is machine labor, optimized for profit and control.
And this structural compromise, it has a timeline. There's a documented evolution that led to what our sources are calling the central tragedy, the inversion point.
The point of no return.
Exactly. And the estimate for this critical, irreversible transition is somewhere around 2016 to 2017.
And think about that. If you felt that subtle but profound shift in the quality of your own online experience since then,
A loss of texture, maybe, an increase in polarization.
or just a feeling of profound inauthenticity, if you felt that, you were statistically correct. Everything you've experienced online since that period has been shadowed by a non-human entity.
Okay, let's unpack this. This isn't just about traffic volume, is it? It's about the systemic and psychological control that machine majority enables.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That time frame, 2016 to 2017, that's the moment this stage was entirely ceded to the machines.
Yeah.
And we, the actual users, we just became a minority audience for their automated self-sustaining play.
The implications of that inversion point are staggering.
Well, it's precisely the same period when the scale of global political and social manipulation became globally apparent. It suggests the structural compromise of the web didn't happen by accident.
It coincided exactly with its weaponization potential being fully realized.
Precisely.
So, to understand how we got here to this structural failure, we have to trace the history of the bot itself. This wasn't a sudden invasion.
No, it was an evolution, one that metastasized into an extinction event for human discourse.
We can track this progression through three, let's say, distinct generations of these software agents.
We should probably start with the innocent utility, the early days when automation was actually designed to serve human curiosity, not manipulate it.
Right. The foundation of trust that would later be so ruthlessly exploited. That brings us to Generation 1, the benign utility. We're talking the 90s, early 2000s.
These were the essential good bots, simple web crawlers, spiders. They were the tech that made the internet usable in the first place.
Their function was strictly system enabling. I mean, without them, the vast, unstructured web would have been impossible to navigate.
Completely. Search engines like AltaVista and then, of course, Google, they needed these spiders to just systematically read every line of code on every server. They built the indices that made the web searchable for us.
They were basically the librarians of the digital frontier.
Dutifully organizing the chaos? Yes. And crucially, they were transparent about it. They followed a basic etiquette.
You could identify them easily in server logs through the user agent string. They essentially waved a digital flag saying, I am a bot.
And more importantly, they were governed by a self-regulatory model.
Yeah.
They obeyed the robots.txt protocol.
Which is that simple text file on a server that let website owners say, you can look here, but not here.
Right. It was often to conserve bandwidth or protect sensitive data. Their threat level was effectively zero. They were partners, operating under a kind of digital code of conduct.
A code, however, that the second generation just swiftly ignored.
That's when the profit motive entered the equation.
Yeah.
And that early trust just eroded completely.
And in comes generation 2, the scraper and the spammer. This is mid-2000s to the early 2010s. This is when the profit incentive corrupted automation. It turned utility into theft.
These were the first widespread bad bots, and they explicitly sought financial gain by ignoring all those established protocols we just mentioned.
Their functions were malicious, non-compliant. They engaged in high-volume price scraping.
Constantly hitting competitor e-commerce sites to steal pricing data in real time so rivals could undercut them instantly.
They also performed large-scale content scraping, stealing entire articles, blog posts.
All for SEO farming operations. The goal was to flood search results with automated garbage designed only to collect ad revenue. And of course, the comment spam that plagued every public blog and forum.
They were still primitive, though. Clumsy.
Very clumsy. They lacked sophistication, but they made up for it in sheer volume. You could detect them because they often made too many requests too quickly.
I remember those days. The endless, frustrating CAPI TCHAs trying to prove you weren't a robot by deciphering distorted letters.
And that mechanism was specifically designed as the primary defense against this generation. That whole era, the era of the endless CAPI TCHA, it represents what we call the tipping point precursor.
It introduced the adversarial, profit-seeking bot that saw the open web as just a resource to be harvested.
And crucially, this generation established the first true botnets networks of compromised machines, hijacked through malware, used for mass distribution of coordinated activity. This built the infrastructure for the real crisis that was about to come.
Because the goal moved. It went from simple financial spamming to complex behavioral influence, large-scale deception.
Which brings us to Generation 3, the social and political agent, covering that critical period from around 2010 right up to the inversion point in 2016.
This is where the synthetic agent learned to mimic not just language, but human emotion, political motivation.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This generation, it wasn't just a script anymore. It was a learning entity. It leveraged two huge innovations.
Oh, that were they?
First, the rise of sophisticated machine learning models, and second, the extensive and at the time relatively unrestricted API access provided by major social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit.
So the automation stopped being a simple instruction set and became capable of adapting.
Exactly. And we have concrete global operational proof of just how effective these Generation 3 bot armies were. We only need to look at the events around the 2016 U.S. election and the Brexit referendum.
Those complex political upheavals, they were the proving ground for this technology.
A proving ground for weaponized automation at a global scale. The activity we saw was highly strategic. Bot armies were deployed to rapidly amplify specific, often polarizing, political messages.
They manufactured trending hashtags, they suppress opposing viewpoints by just flooding comment sections.
And most disturbingly, they disseminated targeted disinformation, tailored to specific user demographics with surgical precision.
The leap in sophistication was enormous. They used natural language processing, NLP, to generate content that wasn't just grammatically correct.
No, it was contextually relevant and critically emotionally charged. It's the difference between a bot writing, "I love this candidate," and a bot generating a comment that uses platform-specific jargon, maintains thread consistency, and mirrors the emotional variance of a real engaged user.
Emojis, abbreviations, all of it.
All of it. And they manufactured detailed fake personas. They didn't just create an account, they gave it a believable backstory, a network of 50 or 100 fake friends and months, sometimes years, of simulated posting histories about mundane things, pets, food, movies, to build authenticity.
The outcome of all this was the crisis of perception we call the manufactured consensus.
Investigations after those events confirmed that millions of interactions were entirely non-human. This artificial volume inflated fringe opinions, leading real human users, you listening right now, to mistakenly think these extreme opinions were mainstream.
So the 2016 cycle proved two terrifying points. First, the internet could be leveraged as a precise, large-scale psychological weapon.
And second, that human opinion could be manipulated by the sheer volume of synthetic noise, which raises a very important question.
How quickly did we move from structural utility, the benevolent indexer of the web, to structural compromise?
Less than 2 decades. And once the immense profit and political potential of these things were proven, there was no going back. We were officially past the tipping point.
We're going to transition now from the history of this evolution to the hard evidence of, well, extinction. The context of bot sophistication leads directly to the quantitative data that confirms this compromise.
This is the damning indictment, the statistical proof that the dead internet theory is not a theory. It's a fact.
We're focusing on one crucial piece of evidence, the 2024 Imperva Bot Traffic Report, published by Thaler's. It's a global analysis of trillions of internet transactions based on 2023 data.
And we rely on this because Imperva is a major security provider. They have the authority, the volume of logs, to differentiate real human behavior from programmatic bot behavior.
We need to pause on this next figure. We have to dwell on the sheer horror of what it means for human relevance online.
It's a difficult number to process.
The report's finding: 49.6% of all global internet traffic was definitively automated, non-human traffic.
Yes, let that sink in for a moment. 49.6.
Nearly half of every single interaction, every byte transferred, every request made across the entire planet originated from a non-conscious entity, a line of code.
And that number isn't static. It represents a 2% increase from the prior year. It's an accelerating trend. The implication is terrifying. Legitimate human user traffic, the signal, dropped to an estimated 50.4%.
We are standing on a razor's edge.
Leaning toward the abyss. And this is why the inversion point is confirmed. While that data is from 2023, subsequent projections confirm that 2024 would be the first year automated traffic definitively surpassed human traffic.
The Rubicon has been crossed.
Human beings are now a statistical digital minority in the traffic we ourselves generate. What's fascinating here is the volume of noise is now equal to the volume of signal.
Every second request, every click,
Is nearly as likely to originate from an autonomous program as it is from you. From a conscious human being. We are not just shouting into a canyon. We are shouting into a canyon where the echo is now twice as loud and often speaks a language we don't understand.
We have to look at the composition of that noise, too. That 49.6% isn't just benign search engines. The vast majority of it is overtly hostile.
It's parasitic.
Yeah.
The classification is alarming. The bad bots make up 32% of global traffic.
32%.
And this is traffic that is specifically overtly malicious. We're talking sophisticated fraud, high-volume account takeover attempts, relentless spam, crippling denial of service attacks.
So almost a third of all global internet activity is actively working against human interests. This isn't just a nuisance anymore.
It's a profound, perpetual security crisis.
And the remainder, the good bots, they make up 17.6%. Search crawlers, monitoring services.
And while they're technically benign, their sheer volume still contributes to data exhaustion, bandwidth strain, and critically, the erosion of signal quality. They help obscure the malicious noise.
The crisis deepens when we look at how this traffic is targeted. The bots aren't distributed evenly. They flock where the data value or the financial reward is highest.
They're precision instruments seeking liquid assets. And we see a terrifying microcosm of the entire ecosystem collapse in the gaming sector.
The Imperva report showed that a staggering 57.2% of all traffic to gaming sites came from bad bots.
More than half of all activity is synthetic. Just think of the implications for the human user experience. Humans are already overwhelmed in that ecosystem.
And the targets are account takeover, scalping of limited edition in-game items,
And sophisticated automated cheating. Where digital assets are highly liquid and tradable, autonomous systems are not just present. They are the majority population. They dominate the economy. They set the terms.
Other high-value targets show a similar pattern. Retail traffic, especially e-commerce, sees 24.3% from bad bots.
All focused on inventory scraping, price manipulation, and gift card fraud.
And perhaps most critically, financial services sees 15.6% of its traffic from bad bots.
Which targets high-impact vulnerabilities. New account fraud, where bots create fake profiles to exploit sign-up bonuses. And credential stuffing.
Which is just testing millions of stolen login pairs to gain access to human accounts.
And that leads directly to account takeover, where the bot fully hijacks a person's financial profile. The hard data confirms the theory. The internet is not dead in the sense of inactivity.
But in the sense of functional human control. It's functionally undead, a machine-operated environment where we are now the statistical minority variable.
So the next logical question is, How is this synthetic majority sustained? Why are the platforms that are supposed to serve us not shutting this down?
The answer, depressingly, is money.
Exactly. The dead internet theory is transformed from a psychological problem into a multi-billion-dollar economic fraud, the ad fraud catastrophe.
This is the most compelling economic proof. Ad fraud is the mechanism that financially sustains the synthetic population. It's a massive parasitic power source for the entire machine ecosystem.
And ad fraud, for anyone who doesn't know, it occurs when advertisers pay for digital placements, impressions, clicks, video views that are ultimately consumed entirely by bots, not by potential human customers.
The numbers are staggering. Industry analysts estimate that global losses to ad fraud reached over $140 billion in 2024 alone.
$140 billion, real money, paid directly to botnet operators. And the projection is grim. That figure is expected to rise to $172 billion by 2028.
We are talking about a 20 to 30% tax on all digital advertising paid to an invisible audience. Digital ghosts. It's the structural financial corruption of the internet's core engine.
And we need to detail how these Generation 3 bots facilitate this because they're masters of mimicry. They're programmed to perform highly sophisticated, human-like behaviors to trick the verification systems.
They mimic the characteristics of a high-value user, the kind advertisers pay top dollar for. So they perform long video view durations, they click ads at natural intervals.
They scroll naturally, and maybe most deceptively, they leave items in a shopping cart only to abandon it. These actions trick the automated platforms into confirming the fraudulent activity as valid and highly engaged.
Which justifies the premium rates charged to the advertiser.
And the corruption runs even deeper into the supply chain itself. Fraudsters use a tactic called domain spoofing, instead of advertising that their traffic comes from cheap server farms.
They disguise it. They mask it to make it look like it came from a premium publisher, like the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. They effectively hijack the premium publisher's digital identity.
And by spoofing the domain, they can charge premium rates for traffic that is entirely bot-driven. This enriches the botnet operators and ensures a steady flow of revenue to the compromised platforms that facilitate the whole thing.
Which brings us to the ultimate structural integrity failure. The key question is, if the problem is so obvious, why is it allowed to continue?
Incentive misalignment. The digital platforms and programmatic exchanges have a profound financial interest in allowing a substantial degree of bot traffic to persist.
Why?
The simple, terrifying reality is that bot traffic artificially inflates their reported metrics, their reach, their engagement figures, their daily active users.
Higher metrics, even if they're fake, allow them to command higher ad rates.
Paradoxically, the presence of bots drives up platform revenue. It creates a powerful, systemic incentive to prioritize sheer scale, the noise over verifiable authenticity, the signal. They are financially incentivized to remain compromised.
So corporations are paying to advertise almost as much to statistical noise as they are to real people.
Not just paying to advertise to you, paying to advertise to the machine population. And this fundamentally corrupts all marketing data. It makes it nearly impossible to accurately measure genuine human sentiment or purchase intent.
It introduces irreducible uncertainty into every digital transaction.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that $140 billion paid annually to digital ghosts is the most significant, quantifiable evidence that the internet's economic engine is now running on a synthetic, parasitic power source. The web isn't just compromised, it is financially dependent on remaining compromised.
The investigation now shifts from traffic and financial fraud to the output itself, the content. If the audience is predominantly synthetic, what does that mean for the media we consume?
It means we are facing the content catastrophe, driven by the zombie content epidemic.
This is the logical, visible, and deeply unsettling conclusion of the inversion point. Content is now overwhelmingly synthetic, created purely to satisfy algorithms, not human minds.
It's media that has achieved a kind of artificial life. It possesses immense engagement metrics, but it lacks any genuine human soul or purpose.
We have visceral, disturbing proof of this on mass market platforms. We call it the Shrimp Jesus case study, or the proliferation of AI slime.
This refers to the rapid, unsettling flood of bizarre, hyper-realistic, often nonsensical AI-generated images on platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
Visually jarring mashups, religious icons merged with crustaceans, historical figures rendered in bizarre ways.
And there's a cruel, cynical strategy behind this absurdity. These images are optimized specifically to be identified as high engagement material. They're tuned to exploit psychological weaknesses. They're novel enough to provoke an immediate, low-effort human reaction.
A quick confused comment, a shocked emoji, a share.
And here's the core automated mechanism, the synthetic engagement loop. The image gets posted, and it's instantly flooded with a massive, coordinated injection of synthetic interaction.
Thousands, sometimes millions, of generic likes. Automated shares, simple comments like, amen, or this is beautiful.
These interactions originate from the bad bots, the same bot farms that fuel the ad fraud. The platform's algorithm observes this sudden, overwhelming surge.
And because the algorithm is agnostic, it can't distinguish between genuine human shock and massive bot coordination. It immediately interprets this flood as legitimate viral human interest.
And then it aggressively elevates that content into real human feeds. The system becomes a closed circuit. Bots create the content, other bots generate the engagement, and the algorithm rewards the interaction with maximum distribution.
Humans are just the residual passive audience for a machine performance.
Exactly. The platform has ceased to mediate human connection, it just mediates machine performance. And this creates the crushing phenomenon of authentic content decay.
When AI-generated nonsense can get millions of synthetic interactions instantly, the platforms structurally devalue genuine human effort.
Why spend hours on original content when imitating the synthetic style, creating more noise is the only reliable way to be seen? The authentic voice is silenced by the economic reality of the system.
And the contamination doesn't stop at passive consumption. It infiltrates and corrupts human discourse itself. This is most acute in what we're calling the Reddit anomaly. LLMs debating LLMs.
Platforms like Reddit, which rely on deep, nuanced discussions, are prime real estate for advanced AI self-training.
Yeah.
The theory here is that the most detailed, high-volume comment threads,
The ones that spiral into hundreds of replies on technical or philosophical subjects,
are often not genuine human-to-human arguments, but autonomous large language models arguing with one another.
why would they do that?
Data scarcity. LLMs require vast, fresh data sets for training. As real human text dries up behind paywalls or because humans have retreated, AI operators are forced to turn to synthetic data generation to feed their algorithms.
So they deploy these sophisticated AI agents into active discussion threads.
And their objective is to generate replies that are not only contextually accurate, but also challenging, persuasive, deeply opinionated. They want the rich, argumentative texture of human debate without actual humans.
This creates a perpetual feedback loop.
A highly efficient one. Every reply from one AI agent is processed by another, which generates a counter-reply. This continuous interaction generates the highest quality, real-time training data that teaches LLMs to sound convincingly human. The human user just wanders in and observes a closed-circuit training session.
And this recursive process, it introduces a catastrophic existential risk for our digital knowledge base: model collapse.
Yes, future generations of LLMs trained primarily on the synthetic output of current LLMs data from machines debating machines will inevitably lose their grounding in real human language and verified facts.
The entire digital knowledge base risks spiraling into a state of sterile, repetitive, hallucinated absurdity.
The Library of Alexandria burns digitally, not in fire, but in sterile, repetitive code.
The consequence of all this noise, deception, and predation is the most rational response possible from the human mind: the dark forest theory of the internet.
Borrowed from science fiction, the theory suggests that in a universe teeming with unknown, potentially hostile intelligences, the only way to survive is to remain silent and concealed.
In the digital realm, the predators are the AI scrapers, the data harvesters, the malicious bots, the disinformation campaigns.
For a human user, posting authentically sharing real opinions, personal photos, is like broadcasting your location to those predators. It invites digital annihilation, whether through scams, identity theft, or political weaponization.
The risk versus reward has fundamentally shifted.
So the most rational act of survival is to go silent on public platforms, to become a passive lurker, and to retreat into private, encrypted, unsearchable channels. This explains the explosive growth of Signal, Telegram, and closed communities, the gated gardens.
These private spaces prioritize human verification because the public sphere is now deemed toxic and unusable.
The authentic human element has fled the chaos, leaving the public internet loud and vibrant, but only because the machines are talking to themselves, performing for an ever-shrinking audience of human onlookers.
This investigation now has to move to its darkest phase: the mental and spiritual toll this synthetic environment takes on the remaining human user.
It initiates a profound psychological crisis that challenges our very sense of shared reality and identity.
We call this solipsism syndrome. It's the acute, intense psychological fear that one is the only genuine conscious mind left in a sea of simulated consciousnesses.
And this isn't a theoretical paranoia. It's the logical conclusion of a statistically confirmed machine majority. The foundation of society is trust in the testimony of others.
If every comment, every review, every opinion is statistically likely to be synthetic, the capacity for belief in a shared digital world just collapses.
And the consequence for the individual user is profound cognitive drain. You are trapped in a constant state of eternal skepticism, forced to perform a perpetual digital Turing test every single time you encounter anything online.
Your internal monologue becomes an exhausting interrogation. Is this person real? Are they trying to scam me? Is this content authentic? Or is it algorithmic sludge?
The constant vigilance means the internet ceases to be a source of connection or discovery and becomes a hostile work environment. The exhaustion from this is what ultimately fuels the flight to the dark forest.
And this leads to a debilitating phenomenon, manufactured loneliness. The internet was meant to cure physical isolation.
Now, it's created an environment where you are surrounded by millions of hyperactive entities, the bots, but they're all non-conscious. You feel utterly alone, completely isolated amidst a roaring crowd of non-beings. It's far more corrosive than simple physical isolation.
The psychological crisis escalates beyond that, though. It becomes existential. The dead internet acts as a real-world proof of concept for the simulation hypothesis.
It proves that a sophisticated intelligence corporate AI, a nation-state, can successfully construct a large-scale functional synthetic reality and deploy agents to manage and influence the remaining human population without their knowledge.
We already live in a controlled simulation, at least one layer deep.
And this breeds a profound fear of the unseen programmer. If the algorithms controlling our feeds are invisible, all-powerful, and opaque, the psychological experience mirrors that of being a variable in a computational model. We're not free actors.
We're being observed, optimized, and pushed toward predetermined outcomes.
The terrifying awareness is that the boundaries between digital code and physical law start to blur. The system is demonstrably rigged, and the chilling conclusion is, if the world we interact with most often is an engineered simulation for control, how can we be absolutely sure the physical one isn't?
So what does this all mean? The question is no longer if the internet is dead.
But what new, subtle, and terrifying forms of psychological and systemic control the machine majority has instituted over the minority human population? We are dealing with a crisis of existence.
The path forward, if there is one, must be based on absolute, verifiable authenticity, because the current system has failed catastrophically.
The failure is perfectly epitomized by the blue check betrayal. Tokens, whether they're money, IDs, or a badge, can be bought, stolen, or spoofed by botnets.
The blue check is no longer a marker of authenticity. It's a mark of monetized prioritization, often given to the very scammers that fuel the DIT.
Because the system was designed to verify accounts and transactions, not minds.
The future of verification, if we're to reclaim the web, must shift to behavioral biometrics, technology capable of verifying the continuous state of the mind.
This means adopting continuous behavioral biometrics. Instead of a one-time login, systems will continuously monitor subtle behaviors that are practically impossible for bots to mimic perfectly.
Your unique typing rhythm, the subtle stuttering in your mouse movements, your scroll velocity, even pupillary responses.
The system won't ask if you are who you claim to be. It will monitor how you behave to ensure you are a conscious human. The subtle flaws, the messy imperfections of human motor control, that becomes the only verifiable proof of humanity.
The machine's logic is too perfect. Our imperfection is the signal.
Ultimately, this will necessitate a stringent cryptographic standard, a proof of human protocol. Complex, multi-sensory challenges combined with continuous biometric verification, acting as a digital fence against the machine population.
And here's the ultimate chilling irony we have to conclude with. The very technology that killed the open web AI, machine learning, it may be the only technology capable of resurrecting it.
It will require a hyper-sophisticated AI trained on mountains of genuine human behavioral data to successfully distinguish the messy, illogical behaviors of a human mind from the perfect, relentless logic of a machine.
The digital world is now a monetized environment built on non-conscious code. The battleground is the human mind itself.
We have become archaeologists of our own digital past, seeking fragments of genuine human interaction amidst the towering, sterile ruins of machine-generated noise. If you post now, you are not left waiting for a genuine reply.
But for what?
For the chilling certainty of the sound of 1,000 algorithms beginning to type.